Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a fascinating and, honestly, kind of dangerous realization for startup founders. Look, whether you're at the pre-seed stage, seed, Series A, or even beyond, securing funding feels like crossing the ultimate finish line, right? It is a massive milestone. It validates your idea and gives you that financial runway you've been dreaming of. But here's the hard truth we're unpacking today. Securing that funding, that's really just the beginning. The actual make-or-break moment for your company is building the right team to actually execute your vision.
Okay, let's dive into this. Funding gives you some incredible things: opportunity, speed, and much-needed resources. It lets you expand into new markets and take on the big players. But it also creates this illusion of safety. Because at the end of the day, funding cannot write clean code. It can't build scalable cloud architecture, and it absolutely cannot resolve complex production issues. Money doesn't build software. People do. Think of your venture capital as the fuel, but your technical team, that is the engine. Just let this quote sink in for a second. Capital cannot write clean code. It's a brilliant, stark reminder. Every single startup starts with a brilliant abstract idea, but ideas and dollars just aren't enough on their own. It absolutely requires a highly capable engineering team, the architects, the developers, the technical leaders, to transform that idea into a tangible, successful business. If your team lacks the chops to write maintainable code or secure your data, well, all the capital in the world just isn't going to save the product.
Part 1. The agitation. The pressure to hire quickly.
The moment your funding hits the news on day one, man, the clock starts ticking louder and faster than ever before. Cheers all around, articles get published. But by day 2, investor expectations dramatically shoot up. They want progress reports and tangible ROI. By day 3, your competitors see the news and start moving aggressively to block your market share. So what happens on day 4? Rushed hiring begins. Founders frantically try to hire developers to meet these crushing expectations, often skipping proper technical evaluation just to get warm bodies into seats. You've got the money in the bank, and now everyone expects to see the magic happen right now. But it is an incredibly dangerous race for the health of your company.
Because when you rush a hire, you trigger this massive compounding disaster. It starts with delayed releases, which then morphs into massive technical debt. That opens up serious security vulnerabilities, and ultimately, it leads to lost engineering time and wildly expensive replacements. You aren't just losing the salary you paid to the wrong person, you are literally bleeding momentum. It's a cascading failure. You spend valuable time fixing mistakes and introducing structural flaws that can take months to unravel.
And honestly, the scariest part about all this? Poor hiring decisions rarely become visible on the first day. It's not like a red warning alarm goes off immediately letting you know it's a bad fit. The consequences accumulate incredibly slowly. Projects just take a little longer than expected. Software quality subtly declines. Technical debt quietly piles up in the background like this unseen weight. By the time the missed deadlines and fading investor confidence become completely obvious to everyone, the damage is deeply rooted. Recovering from that as a young startup is incredibly difficult.
Now moving on to part 2, the pivot, beyond the traditional resume. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we shift our mindset. If rushing to hire using standard methods is the problem, how do we hire effectively without losing precious time? Well, it requires a calm, fundamental shift. We've all been conditioned to rely on traditional markers, right? Resumes, certifications, years of experience, standard interviews. But honestly, those are just proxies. They don't actually predict how an engineer is going to perform in the messy, fast-paced trenches of your startup. What actually moves the needle are real-world capabilities. Can they solve complex problems, build production-ready systems, design scalable architecture, deliver actual business value? A piece of paper doesn't ship software. Practical, proven capability does.
Which brings us to part 3, the solution, how ExpertOnHire builds teams.
So the crucial point is, how do we confidently bridge that gap and evaluate for real capabilities? Well, ExpertOnHire systematically achieves this through a capability-first framework. It acts as this essential bridge between your newly acquired venture capital and sustainable business growth. They use AI-assisted talent matching, verify technical experts, conduct portfolio-based evaluations, and deploy structured technical assessments. Instead of spending weeks drowning in a sea of unsuitable resumes, founders can rely on this robust framework to find professionals who have actually proven their skills in real-world scenarios. It just completely cuts through the noise.
There's a pretty incredible irony in the startup world. Founders will spend months, sometimes literally years, meticulously pitching for money and refining every single word of their pitch deck.
Yet, once funded, they'll spend mere days rushing to hire the exact people responsible for building the actual product. Speed should absolutely never come at the expense of quality. ExpertOnHire prevents this trap. By offering practical skill validation and founder-friendly support, they reduce your hiring risk, letting you make fast decisions that are actually high-quality decisions.
And finally, Part 4, the resolution, from funding to growth. Let's move to this workflow and see how this all builds together. When you align your capital with the right technical capability right out of the gate, the positive impact naturally cascades into long-term sustainable success. Step 1 is your startup vision and investor funding, sure, but Step 2 is the absolute linchpin, hiring the right technical team. Only when that foundational team is secured can you move to Step 3, robust product development and a successful launch. That launch drives Step 4, customer growth, which leads to Step 5, business expansion. And that finally loops right into Step 6, future funding and long-term success. Successful startups don't grow just because they raised a bunch of money. They grow because they execute effectively at every single step of their life cycle.
And that flawless execution is exactly what keeps your financial backers happy. True investor confidence is built by launching products on schedule, responding quickly to customer feedback, scaling infrastructure efficiently as traffic grows, and innovating continuously. Look, investors evaluate execution, not just ideas. A highly capable engineering team, backed by the rigorous practical vetting of ExpertOnHire, ensures strong technical execution. And that translates directly into increased confidence across the board, from your early-stage investors right up to your biggest enterprise clients. Because funding starts the journey, but the right team builds the future. When you leverage a partner like ExpertOnHire, you get their core promise: smooth hiring, no noise. You completely filter out the bad fits and the inflated resumes, leaving you with exceptional, battle-tested teams capable of taking that funded idea and transforming it into a wildly successful business.
I want to leave you with a final provocative thought today. You just secured your seed round. But who is actually building your future? Take a hard look at your hiring pipeline today. Are you rigorously evaluating real capabilities, or are you just checking boxes because that clock is ticking? It's your vision. It's your funding. Make sure you have the exact right experts on hire to bring it to life. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.